ago, but I didn't think I brought this poem, but I did. It's not autobiographical, but the feelings are. Pieces of it are, maybe. And the feeling is about how I felt waiting for the truck of those books to arrive.
Those are new poems?
Yeah. Yeah, it's called Waiting for Life to Arrive. How would it be if you spent your whole life waiting for a truck to arrive? It starts out when you're 2, the other is 4. Every morning she leaves you behind. The grown-up's too busy, it seems. You're alone. And then comes the day you are 4. The others put on their shining new school clothes and run out the door. The others are 5, 6, and 7. The bus, a bright yellow, the sunshine, and flowers like sunshine and flowers. Yourself left behind. 5 is the number they tell you. Don't worry, it comes. At last comes the day you are 5. You are 5, but you've got the measles, you see, and you have to stay home. And that's how it goes. Days turn to weeks, turn to months, become years. Your own baby is due any day. Your house full of trinkets, baby stuffed toys, the walls painted blue, maybe pink. And yet something went wrong. You gave birth to a doll. It never was real. They take it away and you cry for a while. And after a while you may heal, but you don't, not quite ever, not ever. And yet there are other events that are good. The world hasn't ended, a sunrise, a wedding, pumpkins and flowers. This baby, your own, a real child, and another, and your very own lover who stays a long time. And then when he leaves, you start writing poems. You send them away. You wait by the mailbox. No is the answer. Always no, so it goes until one day it's yes. Once more you are waiting. This time it's a truck full of boxes. Each morning you run to the end of the driveway. Each morning your own box hasn't arrived until one day it does. It's your truck, you can tell by the sight of it. And you see it pull up, white as new snow at the end of your driveway. Brilliant white, with boxes so huge it seems to take up the whole road, the whole sidewalk. The driver gets out, a great box in his hand, so heavy he hardly can lift it. And he staggers as he walks, but to some other house, not yours after all. And you're standing alone at the end of your driveway as the truck drives away. So that part is true. Stones do not move, they don't move. They just sit there forever in rows. Under them boxes of bones, dirty old bones. Sprinkle my ashes over the ocean. Sprinkle my ashes into the wind. Teach me to fly, let me fly. In childhood I carried a stone in my stomach. Later it rose to my heart, now it's stuck in my throat. Sometimes I wake to it hot between my legs. Sometimes it's cold in my chest or drilling a hole in the pit of my stomach. Sometimes I take it in my hand, hold it to my cheek, pop it like a lozenge into my mouth, rolling and rolling it over my tongue. Once in the demon-filled night, I threw it up over my head, high and hard. I was young then, I could throw overhand. It soared like a fast ball, clearing the trees of my childhood. Rose till it struck solid sky where it stuck, till I swallowed it. The peach's rough stone. The peach's rough stone holds a life in its belly. The dove's egg is a soft stone filled with promise of bird. The future of marble depends on the sculptor. The pipes of an organ are molded from lead. What then can be said of the stone that is human? How much heat can it bear? How much weight without cracking? Is there somewhere within it a dark, viscous fluid that properly tempered might learn how to sing? Is there bone in the angel's wing? How the stone differs from the human. Unlike the human, the stone has no nerves on its skin, which may feel as smooth as live flesh to the touch, but itself cannot feel anything except its own weight, the pressure of time. The stone that is carved to the shape of a man can even be kissed, but itself cannot kiss, can be taken to bed and used as a dildo, but cannot make love. The stone that was shaped like a girl. Everyone thought it was real. It had soulful round eyes and small fingers. It smiled for the camera. When it was dressed in a pretty white dress, it recited a poem. When it was given a small silver fork, it ate up its dinner. When it was given a boyfriend, it opened its legs. And when it was given a husband, it washed up the dishes. But when it was left by itself at the edge of the highway, then it did nothing. After all, it was only a stone. Stone among butterflies. It was the only stone in the world, the only one anywhere ever to be. All around it, as far as the eye could see, grew hedgerow and clover, milkweed, dandelion, mustard, and foxglove. Sometimes the sun warmed it, the rain cooled it, blankets of snow covered it for months at a time. Once a loquacious flock of butterflies lit on its surface, all of them speaking at once. Some spoke in the language of just waking up, some in the language of falling asleep. Some giggled in accents of go find your sweetie, or whispered the rose-budding dialect. Nearly all of them fluent in wind through the meadow grass. But none spoke the language of stone. When the stone came for a visit, that woman, she was so terribly lonely that when the stone knocked at her door, she invited him in. Forever, I think, said the woman. I have been waiting. Well, I have come, said the stone. Now open your heart. But you smell like a stone, said the woman. My heart will not open. Then he got out his chisel and worked on her heart. But that heart was as hard as a rock, and so it remained. The boulder in the living room. That monstrous stone was too heavy to move. It was unmovable. If you wanted to enter the house, you had to squeeze in around the edges of it and make yourself thin as a rail, scraping your entire body between its dark, raspy surface and the rough plaster wall. Sometimes your skin would start bleeding. You had to put up with the bleeding. If you wanted to leave the house, you had to climb over the entire bulk of it. And once you got to the door, you had to find some way to pry the door open and squeeze yourself out. You were drained as an old rag long before you ever hit the street. And once you were out on the street, you didn't want to ever come home. You wanted to travel the world, sing, shout, swallow the sky. But you had to come home. The stone needed feeding. Windowsill gods. The man stone and the woman stone hold hands forever on her windowsill over the sink. Whenever she washes the dishes, she prays to the stones. Whenever she fixes a meal, she pours milk on the stones. She is waiting for the man stone to actually move, to leap to his feet and get the hell out. She is waiting for the woman stone to gracefully rise to her feet, to raise up her arms in a blessing and finally open her mouth. They do sing. It happens sometimes when they strike one another under the fast spinning rush of a creek that has just woken up for the spring. 2 stones or 1 stone. 2 broken stones went bumpily bouncing side by side down a steep, jagged mountain. God, this is fun, sighed the one. God, how this hurts, cried the other. Both stones were brittle and hard. Bouncing, they struck one another. Oh, don't let this end, cried the one. Oh, please let it end, sighed the other. After many long years, they came to a valley. By then, they were round stones and lay in soft silence, side by side in the grass by the highway. A car drove by fast, then another, then another. Do you think someone finally stopped to go walking? Do you think someone picked up a stone for his hand, a stone for his pocket? Do you think someone picked up a stone for her altar, a pretty round stone? 2 stones or 1 stone? The river stone. A stone lay in the riverbed. Water ran over her day after day, night after night, cool water with fishes. But the stone was not happy. Someday, said the stone in a soft, dreamy whisper, someone will walk in the water. Someone will pick me up in his hand, carry me home in his pocket, and then I'll be happy. And it happened that someone did walk in the water, picked her up in his hand, carried her home for his bookshelf, where she lay alone year after year under layers of dust, untouched and forgotten. And the stone dreamed of her riverbed, and in dreams she was happy. The sea and the desert. The sea stone and the desert stone met at the shoreline early one morning just after sunrise, when the world was still pink with beginning. Sandpipers lifted their tiny forked feet, tickling one and the other and all of the sand in between. Once, spoke the sea stone, sea water caressed me over and under until I succumbed into pleasure. The desert stone nodded. Just so was the wind once my lover. A tortoise swam by, sighed the sea stone, stroking my back with its needle-fine claws. Just so, smiled the desert stone. Once in the high heat of summer, a tortoise crept under my belly for shade. Bones, said the sea stone, under the swell of the wave they grow smooth. Bones, ah yes, bones, the desert stone sighed as the sea began lapping her body. The woman who learned to look down. One night, while a girl slept, a demon crept into her room. It cut out her heart and put a round stone in its place. When she woke the next morning, a gaping black mouth was wailing in the space between her breasts. That was the day she started to bleed. All the years after that, the mouth never stopped wailing. The girl became woman, the woman grew old. Her body dried up like a leaf on the sidewalk. One day she was walking in shadow under trees. A jay on a low branch called out her name. His voice was a voice she almost remembered. "Joan," he called, "just spit." So she spit the stone out of her chest like a peach pit. Now her chest was all empty. "I'm hungry," the mouse in her chest started wailing. "Oh, I am hungry." And the jay laughed, he laughed like a demon. Yet the berries that grew by her feet were all shaped like hearts. They were pink as the bonnets of babies. And that's a taste. There's about 100 more in this book. Thank you all for everything and for reading and listening and all that. And so please do take, I've got little covers from the book with a little signature in it, so that if you decide to order your own book, which you can online, either at Amazon or from Uttered Chaos Press, which is Laura Hugh, and you will get the book, and then you will have it signed, because I signed a thing for you. So enjoy, and thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.